Sorry, I'm just trying to. There we go. Okay, we are now recording. So let's kick it off. I hope you guys are excited, ready to learn some things, and let's kick off. So the first thing that we are going to look at is what is a CV? So your CV is your corporate identity. It is like everything about it tells potential employers who you are as a potential hire. So I want you to think of this training in terms of what do you think? So this is one thing that I want you to note down and start thinking about is what does your CV tell a potential recruiter? So I want you to look at your CV now and then tell me, just jot down, what do you think your current CV tells a potential recruiter? And then at the end of the session, we're going to revisit that and see if you update and you change some of your CV after the session, what you think it will then tell a potential recruiter. Okay. So your CV is your curriculum vitae, which is more commonly referred to by its shorthand abbreviation CV. And it is a Latin term meaning course of life. Your CV is a written overview of your skills, your education, and your work experience. It can be used for a variety of reasons. However, the most common one of these reasons that it's usually used for is to send it to prospective employers when you are looking for a job. And your CV is your corporate identity. I want you to take that sentence with you. Your CV is your corporate ID. Okay. So session 2. So there's a lot of information and I usually get a lot of questions with this presentation. So I'm going to try and run through the information quite quickly so we have more time for questions and answers. Okay. So before you write your CV, you need to know the basic elements of a CV. So then you have to brainstorm. Okay, so on here, I'm just going to do my laser pointer. Okay, so I'm going to do my laser pointer so you can see. So over here, I have like a brainstorm, which I did myself to look at if I were to create my CV again now. This is basically what my brainstorm would look like. Okay. So I will look at the position that I am applying for, and I will choose the brainstorm items that are most relevant. So for me, on my CV, I would put, for instance, my education. I have an education in theology and counseling. I've done some makeup courses, skincare, dietary and fitness. So that's all part of things that I have studied and basically a summary of my qualifications. Then my work experience is that when I was at university, I was waitressing to pay my university fees. Then I was a personal assistant. I've been a hairstylist. I've been a makeup artist. I've been an administrator and I've been a study leader. And then if I look at my personal information, I would want to put on my telephone number, my email, am I married or not? Am I healthy? Do I have any health challenges? What languages do I speak, etc. Then my interests and hobbies. So I like running, I like going to the gym, I completely love animals, I love traveling and learning. So I'm a big basically nerd and academic. So learning is one of my interests and hobbies. And then some of my skills, I would say that I am a leader, I work well in a team, I'm a quick learner, and I'm also extremely motivated. And then I also have to consider that I will need a cover letter. So this is basically what my brainstorm would look like. And then I would ask myself, what do I want? What do I want my CV to tell my potential employers? Okay. Um, then we are going to move on. I'm also going to, from my brainstorm, I'm also going to consider the company that I am applying with, and I'm going to do my research.
Hi, Luzan. It seems your mic is off.
It's on going off. Okay, I'm unmuting.
We can hear you now. But now you're off again.
Okay, someone in the meeting is muting me. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so let's just run through this again. All right. So when we start at the top, you have to guys, someone in the meeting keeps on muting me. Please do not do that. It is interruptive of the entire session. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay, so we're going to run through these points again quickly. So the first one is you have to know the basic elements of a CV. Then you can see my brainstorm over here. You can look at the position you are applying for and choose the brainstorm items that are most relevant. Then you have to consider the company that you are applying with. Consider their corporate colors, their culture, and also what is important to them. Do your research. So there you want to look at who should you address the cover letter to. Is it a male or a female? Most of this information you will be able to find on the corporate website or via their social media, etc. Okay, so make the effort. Then read through the vacancy advert and pay attention to the application requirements. Are you qualified? I cannot stress this enough. As a recruiter, for the last positions that we advertised, we had almost 400 applications, like almost 400 CVs. And out of the 400, only maybe 45 actually met the requirements and were qualified. And these were not general positions. These were specialized fields where you would need a qualification, relevant work experience of 5 years plus, etc. And a lot of people that applied did not meet even closely the minimum requirements, which can become quite frustrating and time consuming. for potential recruiters. So please always check if you are qualified. And then you can start structuring your CV. So there's no official structure, but you must have certain key elements on your CV. For instance, your personal details, a personal statement or cover letter, relevant key skills, work experience. So the work experience you will list in reversed chronological order. Okay. I'll get to you now, Yulida. So work experience, you will list that in reverse chronological order. So the last job you had will be the first job you list, and then you will work back. So your very first job when you started out, maybe 5 years ago, 6 years ago, that job will be listed last on your CV. Okay, so you start from the most recent, working down to the least recent. You must list your education and qualifications, again, listed in reverse chronological order. So you will start with, I have an honors degree. I obtained it at this time at this university. I've got a bachelor's degree. This is the qualification or my education, and high school will be listed last. Okay, reverse chronological order. Then you also want to tell me a little bit about your hobbies and your interest and references. As a recruiter, I can tell you that if you put references on available on request, I kind of lose a little bit of interest because it creates an unnecessary conversation that I have to now have with you to say, please send me your references. And all of that constitutes time. Okay, and time equals money that I cannot necessarily spend if I have to ask 50 people for their references because they didn't include it in their CV. So most likely, unless you are a really, really strong candidate, I will then pass on your CV. Okay, so just to answer Yulida, who says, so do you basically have to create a new CV as you apply to different companies based on the requirements? No, you don't have to create a new CV, but you would have to look at your CV and adjust it. So for instance, let's say, when I'm applying to BDO as the training and development manager, and it's very academically based, it's very regulatory based, I'm not going to put in that I did a skincare course in 2008 or that I did bridal makeup at some or other time in my life, because it is absolutely not a relevant skill for the position that I'm applying for. Okay. Is it a must to have languages that a person speaks in the CV? That's always a good one. Yes, especially if you are bilingual or trilingual, when you speak multiple languages, that's always a plus point for you. Also, if you say your language proficiency, like reading, writing, speaking, all of that, it gives us a better indication of how we can communicate with you. All right, so it is good to list your languages in your CV. For instance, if you are applying to let's say you are applying for a position in the north and it is very much Namibian languages, let's say it is Oshibambu, the business itself and the clientele and all of that, but you only speak Afrikaans, like then that would be a criteria that one would look at if you will be a good fit for that office of that business. Maybe you could be more fitted for a Windhoek office or maybe a Walvis office. Okay. We will get to the picture and stuff now and also the driver's license. All right. So, references, please, not available on request. Okay. let's go look at session 3. Now you are going to write your CV. I think we might have a troll in our meeting today. So let's all just focus on the presentation. Those that are being removed can just rejoin again. Okay. So session 3, writing your CV. The first thing you are going to do is you are going to create your layout. Okay. So you will have a cover page. Your cover page should have like your name, your address, your telephone number, and your email address. Okay. So your cover letter should be like a corporate letter, right? So you will have, for instance, if you are writing it to me, then you will have like your PO box, my PO box, all of those corporate letter structure on your cover letter. And then when you are signing off the letter, please put your name and at least your name and your telephone number. Okay. Just give me 1 second. Okay, so at least your name and your telephone number and your email address. So if I want to refer back to your CV, I don't have to literally go into the document every time. When I open the preview, your contact information will already be on the cover page. Okay, then you have to look at your personal profile. Who are you? What can you offer the company? What are your career goals? So if we stop here, who are you? Now you have to remember when you are applying for a position, let's take it back. So I'm going to use our last recruitment round as my base example, okay, of things that can go right and things that can go wrong. So who are you? What makes you stand out of the crowd? If I get 400 CVs, something needs to make you stand out. Okay. So things that I can tell from your CV, for instance, your CV actually tells me a lot of things, right? From this, I always say your CV is the first impression that I have of you, because I've advertised my position or the position that I have available. I haven't met you, I haven't spoken to you on the phone. I have no idea who you are. So your CV is the very first impression that I have of you. From your CV, I can generally tell a couple of things. I can tell if you are a neat person. Excuse me. I can tell if you are organized. I can tell if you pay attention to detail. I can tell if there's like a deadline. I can tell if you are able to meet deadlines. So there's quite a few things that I can tell about who you are just by looking at your CV. Because remember, this is the impression that you are giving me. Okay. So then what can you offer the company? What can you bring that is different than to what everyone else is bringing? Okay. And what are your career goals? Are you just interested in having a job and getting a salary, or do you actually have a plan? Like, do you want to go somewhere and build a career? Okay. I will come back to answer the questions. I just don't want to spend most of the time on the questions. All right, then we have your education and your qualification. Keep it relevant. Remember when I said now, I'm not going to include that I was a makeup artist in 2008 for the position of an HR training and development and talent manager. It's not relevant. Okay. It will add unnecessary bulk and information to my CV. Then your qualification and the date that it was completed. This is also quite important. So in the previous round of recruitment that we did, some of the things that we would identify is, for instance, that you got your, let's say you obtained your BCom degree in 2018, and then you got your honors or your postgraduate in 2021. Now, immediately, I want to know, what were you doing in those 3 years? What happened between getting your degree and completing your postgraduate? Did you struggle to get your postgraduate? Would you need a lot of like specific academic attention, mentorship, assistance in your academics? Did you take a year or two off? Did you take a break? So that is quite important. Maybe you worked for 3 years to save up for your postgraduate, would then also would tell me that you are very goal driven, like you are willing to make the sacrifices in order to get what you want eventually. Okay, so again, this is what your CV can tell me about you. Okay, so your qualifications and the date that you completed it. Also, where did you complete it? Okay, so for instance, if I am advertising for a CA level 1 trainee, I need to know where you got your degree, because certain universities are not accredited. So then you do not meet the minimum requirements. So it is important to tell me where you got your qualification. Then your work experience. Again, keep it relevant, okay? And then the period of employment is also important to recruiters a lot of time, because sometimes what we see is a lot of job hopping, and or somebody that has stayed in a position for a really long time. So that can create questions. Sometimes it can be positive, sometimes it can be a little bit less positive, but it's always better to know beforehand, okay, so that we can also formulate our questions. Excuse me. Then your skills and achievements. Again, keep it relevant. No more than 5. Okay, no more than 5. So, for instance, I would say my skills, I have excellent leadership skills and communication skills. And some of my achievements, my biggest flex is that I passed my honors degree with 100%. I can back it up with my academic transcript, and also being a DUK student. So that would be one of my achievements, okay? For BDO, I was the project leader that won the Advisors of the Future, or came second in the Advisors of the Future Global BDO Awards. So that would be relevant. It shows my academics. I'm just talking now in terms of my own recruitment, which is very academically driven. Because we are a training office. So that would show my academics, it would show my leadership skills, it would show my ability to manage large international projects. Okay, but no more than 5. You also don't want to be bragging. You want to do like a humble brag. You know, I did this, no big deal. It was kind of effortless. Okay, so don't overwhelm me. That you can leave something for the interview. Okay. Your interests and hobbies, again, keep it relevant. So let's say you are applying at BDO, right? Now you are going onto our website, because remember, one of the things that you do before you start writing your CV is you research the company. So on our social media, you will see that we do a lot of activities, like we play volleyball, we do the cancer walks, those kind of things. So one of the things that I would then list on my CV applying to BDO, that one of my interests and hobbies is running and going to the gym. So I enjoy fitness and sport activities, which shows I would be a good cultural fit for BDO. Okay. Again, no more than 5. So one of the other things that BDO also did was they went to paint out the kennels, and then I would list like, I really love animals. So that would speak something personal about me, but that aligns with the corporate culture and values of the place that I am applying at. Okay. Then other relevant information. Other relevant information could be, so who asked it? Languages, and then describe, sorry, memory, describe, outlines what other jobs you entail. Yes. You cannot just tell me you worked, let's say you worked at Mr. Price, right? You are applying for an accountant position and one of your job experiences is Mr. Price. What did you do at Mr. Price? Were you working in stock control? Were you working in the warehouse? Were you working in customer care, or were you working in accounts and finance, or debtors and creditors, or internal accounts, or human resources? So obviously what you did there, the position would be important, but also kind of just a short description of some of your main duties that you did. Okay, so if I had to take for BDO, I would not list everything I do at BDO, because then my CV will literally be like a manual and people won't want to read it. So what I would list, for instance, is that I am the HR training and development manager. Some of my duties would include creating an annual training calendar, communicating and setting up the training sessions, the logistics thereof, and ensuring compliance with regulatory and internal requirements. Okay. And then I would put in brackets like BDO Global, the PAAB, the Namibian Institute of Professional Accountants, and the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Namibia, and SAICA in South Africa. So that is like 3 bullet points, but it describes a lot of what I do within that position. Okay, then I would maybe list, I'm also a recruitment specialist at BDO. So it is my job to, like, I don't do the advertisements, but I do the CV management, the shortlisting, collaborating with line managers in the candidate selection, and assisting in the interviews and the ultimate recommendation of whether to make an offer or not. Okay, so that would show what I do in recruitment. So not a lot, but definitely the basics. Okay, Charlene, I am not, unfortunately, with the layout of CVs, it's a little bit challenging, because the CVs that we do get is, obviously it's confidential, but I will show you maybe 1 or 2 layouts of a CV if we have time. Okay, but on Microsoft Word, there are also excellent CV templates that you can use. And no, we do not think less of you when you do use it. We actually think it's quite good that you make use of available software. A CV should be no more than the actual CV, 2 pages. So a cover page, 2 pages of CV, and then your supporting documents. Okay. So references, you want to give me the name of your reference, also their title, their position, or the relevance. Okay. You cannot list your friend or your coffee buddy as your reference. It must be somebody that was your senior, that was basically tasked with managing you and leading you, somebody that you worked with closely. Okay, and then also their contact information. You can put either an email or a telephone number. Okay, then the balance of your information. Make sure that it is relevant. Please do not put irrelevant information on there. And also know when enough is enough. Like I said, this was a very good question to ask, how many pages. When you have a list, always keep it maximum 5. Okay, so 5 is always a good number. Okay, no less than 3, no more than 5. So that is your balance of when is enough enough. Okay, session 4. So now we have written our CV. So now we get to the edit and the clean up. So the first thing you want to do, the very first thing you want to do is please check your spelling and your grammar. I received a CV, guys. I am not even like the things I see, you cannot make it up. I've received a CV for a high position, like a compliance officer position. Um, the person basically had the experience and the qualifications. Um, and oh, thank you so much, Axel. This person was applying for a high compliance officer position, and they had basically the qualifications and the experience meeting the minimum requirements and all of that. But on their cover letter, they didn't use a single capital letter. The eyes, the was just like a dotted eye. I also do that sometimes. I think it looks very sweet and young, but not in an application for a compliance officer who will be managing an entire team in a very professional corporate environment. Okay, so please, please, please check your spelling and your grammar. I've had CVs where people are applying for the position at DBO. So not even the company name is spelled correctly. The intention is there, but the attention is not. Okay, it does not speak well. It doesn't put you in a positive light with the recruiter. So check your spelling and your grammar. When you are done checking your speller and your grammar, phone a friend to check your spelling and grammar. Okay. Proofread for conciseness. Okay. Proofread to see that there's like a logical order to your CV. You are not giving me, for instance, your job experience, and then you're giving me your personal hobbies and attributes, and then you're jumping to like references, and then you're jumping back to your education. Make sure it follows like a logical layout. Okay. Which I will tell you as well how that should look. Okay, again, check your spelling and grammar. Okay, read through your CV as if though you are a recruiter. Okay, read through your CV and ask yourself, if I was to appoint this person, what would my questions be? What would my concerns be? What questions could be raised here? Read through it, put yourself in the shoes of the recruiter. Check your spelling and your grammar. Okay, I didn't accidentally put it 3 times. Honestly, check your spelling and your grammar. And when you are done checking your spelling and your grammar for the 3rd time, then you get someone else to please check your spelling and your grammar. Okay. And then you check the format and the quality. Guys, girls, oh my goodness, please check the quality. I understand that not everyone has the facilities to scan or, like, but my take is always if you were able to online, because let's say our process is only online, if you went online to apply and you had to upload your CV and everything, just spend that once or twice to get your CV looking professional. I've received CVs with qualifications that a photo was taken of a dirty crumpled up old qualification, and then it was scanned in completely skew and half the info I cannot read and it's blurry, or it is ridiculous things that we find in recruitment. Okay, so please, please, please check the format and the quality. If you are writing your CV in Arial 10, then make sure your entire CV is in Arial 10, your font. If you are going with Calibri, make sure your entire CV is in that font. Okay. It does matter. It really, really does matter, because the format and the quality of your CV is going to show me or give me an indication of what I can expect your quality of work to be. Okay, do not skimp on your CV. Then check the application requirements. which document, anything except Comic Sans, Axel. Okay, we are not in, no, not anything like a professional. So, Arial, Calibri, Trebuchet, those are all decent fonts, but don't go into Lucida, handwritten, and Times New Roman. Times New Roman is also not a good one. I think your best bet is always Arial, like we learned in high school, like everything was always Arial 12 single spacing. That's like a safe bet. Okay. All right, we will get back to all the questions. Okay, so check the application requirements. Which documents are required? Must it be certified? In which format must the application be submitted? On which platform must the application be submitted? And what is the application deadline? Okay, so I'm going to give you guys a quick insight in my recruitment strategy. Maybe some of you are in here because you are also doing recruitment. Maybe some of you are in here because you want to apply to BDO. And then you will be getting a little bit of insight and like an advantage over any other candidates right now. Okay, so first of all, when I shortlist your CV, I shortlist the CV. The first thing I do is I contact you via email, but I'm smart. I use a different email. So I use my email. Then I say, okay, congratulations, you've been shortlisted. The next step is please submit your CV and all supporting documents in one PDF and send it to this email, which is a different email to the one that I'm emailing you from, before a certain time. Okay, so what am I doing? I am testing three things here. I'm testing your ability to follow instructions because I said one PDF. Okay, then I am testing your attention to detail because it's not a reply to my email, it's a different email. And I am testing your ability to meet a deadline. Okay, so now I've already tested three things. If somebody then sends me three different documents, I immediately basically eliminate them from the interview selection process. If you respond to my email and say, sure, will do, send from my Huawei, again, your email communication not matching my energy, probably not a good fit for me. We are professionals, but we will get to those pitfalls now. Okay, so look at these things. What is required? Must it be certified? In which format must the application be submitted? Platform and the deadline. I cannot tell you how many times people have asked me, please, 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 can you accept my application? And I simply do not, because we have, like I said, recruiters get 400, like 300 to 400 CVs for every position that is advertised. Once the applications are closed, it is closed. Okay, so meet the deadline. All right. Then we get to session 5, which is your pitfalls to avoid. Okay. A low quality CV. Purely scanned documents, errors, timeline discrepancies. Don't tell me you got your degree in 2019, but then your actual qualification says 2070. Okay? Do not don't create timeline discrepancies. Inconsistency, here we are looking again at fonts. Now you're using Arial and then you're using Trebuchet and then you're thrown into Times New Roman and this is bold and that is not, and all of those things. Have consistency. Overselling yourself or embellishing your accomplishments. Okay, recruiters are smart. Okay, recruiters are not dumb, so do not oversell yourself or embellish your accomplishments. Don't give outdated certified documents. Most certified documents is valid for either 3 or 6 months. The best is to just go with the 3 months rule. Okay, make the effort to have your documents certified. Not submitting it in the correct format. I know another manager who despises a Word document CV. She will not look at a Word document CV. Okay, she says it is not professional. So, good rule of thumb, PDF. Using slang. Okay, so I did once recruit somebody, a trainee, who ended his cover letter with cheers. And to this day, I use it as an example, even in my induction training, and he always laughs when I use it. He turned out to be one of our really, really awesome recruits. Not that we don't have not like we have less awesome recruits, but he turned out to be a winner. And it was just everything else was absolutely thoughtful. He had our colors, he tried to match our corporate font, he really made a lot of effort. And I was quite amused by the way he used the word cheers. But don't tell me it's nah, né? Or if I phone you, okay, choose, bye. It's not professional. Okay, so avoid using slang or text language. Nicole, can you please tell Rochelle I'm busy with training? Thank you. Okay. Overly editing with bold or underline. Please do not bold and underline everything. Okay. Using a template and not removing sections you don't complete. If you are not going to complete it, remove the section. If you're not going to put your Instagram, don't have the Instagram icon there. Okay. Making a poor impression. Okay. So these things are making, okay, wait, I just quickly want to, so to get a strong CV, check for spelling and grammatical errors, keep it neat, make a PDF, and attach your supporting documents. Okay, so making a poor impression, not being reachable. Okay, if I phone you, maybe like I phone you the first time, you don't answer, but then you also don't phone me back. Okay, that is not a good impression. Or I phone you or I invite you for the interview, and this actually happened in our last session of recruitment. I invited the person for the interview and then she never confirmed. And then 2 days before the interview, I phoned her and I was like, listen, I just want to check if you got our email. We just want to confirm if you'll be present for the interview. And she was like, oh yeah, I saw your email. I'll be there. Kind of annoyed that I followed up. Guess who did not get a job with us at that recruitment session? Okay. Harassing the recruiter. Guys, if the deadline of the applications is the 15th of June, please do not submit your CV and then phone me to see if I got it, and then phone me every day to find out if, we have any feedback yet. Okay. It takes, after the closing date for applications, it takes roughly 10 to 14 business days for the shortlisting process to be finalized. Poor communication, whether that is on email or telephone or anything, always remain professional. Don't use slang. Don't seem uninterested. Okay, seem like you actually want the job. Make effort. Don't make effort with your CV. Make effort with your communication. Okay. Don't get frustrated or rude with the recruiter. Okay, we are going through hundreds of applications. We did not wake up on the day to decide we are going to ruin your day today. Okay, don't lie. Don't lie on your CV. Don't lie in the interview. Don't miss the deadline. Do not address your documents to another company or person. Okay, it happens. It happens more often than you think. Do not show up for the interview. There is no excuse for that. Okay, now we are quickly going to look at, you've submitted your CV, everything went well. Now you are getting the interview. So tips on winning your interview. Be early. Be aware of your surroundings. Do not lie on halfway on your back, slouching on the reception couch. Okay? Be aware of your surroundings. Dress accordingly. I once had a girl take off her shoes under the boardroom table and I almost had a heart attack. The only thing I could focus on from there on out was her toenails. I promise you, I'm not even exaggerating. It was terrible. I couldn't hear her anymore. Okay, do not take your shoes off during the interview process. Be prepared. I cannot tell you how many times I tell people in the interview selection email where I say, come prepared with questions for me. Do your research. Don't ever show up without questions. Always come prepared with a second printed out copy of your actual CV, any supporting documents, all of that. Okay, always be prepared. Anticipate questions. So we will get to that now. Communicate effectively. If you are nervous, you can say, sorry, I just need to catch my breath. I'm a little bit nervous. It shows you actually want it. It shows you are actually invested. Okay. We understand that people get nervous and that's okay. Just still do not speak. I know your voice and you cannot hear what I'm saying. Did you guys hear what I was saying now? You cannot speak up and speak clearly. Know your career goals. We'll check now at salary expectations. Be ready with your own questions and make the most of your one-on-one time. Breathe and send a thank you note to your recruiter, potential recruiter afterwards. So I just want to go back to the salary expectation. So we always, okay, wait, now I'm going to get there now. Sorry, I'm jumping around now. Okay, so let's look at some commonly asked interview questions. Okay, they are commonly asked because it tells us a lot about you. Question number 1, tell me about yourself. Okay, so tell me about yourself. Start with your name, where you live, a short overview of your education, a short overview of your work experience, and some minor family details. So for instance, I would say, okay, so you already know I'm Luzanne Pretorius. I'm originally from Cape Town, but my husband is a born Namibian and we relocated to Namibia 10 years ago. I have an honors degree in practical theology and I have 5 years working experience in the training and development field of HR. That is telling them a little bit about myself. So do you see there's things in there that is not on my CV because they've already read my CV. Okay. Then we have, why are you looking for a job change? Okay, related to your career goals. Don't ever say anything negative about your previous employer or your previous job. And always look at what did you learn from your previous job. Okay, so I would, for instance, say, I'm grateful to my previous organization. I learned a lot while working there. Change is necessary for us to enhance our skills and grow both personally, professionally, and financially. I've reached the top of my career path at my previous organization, and your organization is a great platform where I can learn more and further build my career. Okay. Now you can see I already said there's no growth opportunities. They aren't paying me enough. And like, I'm just stuck there. Nee? That's basically negative for them, but I've turned it into a positive light for myself and the new potential recruiter. What are your strengths and weaknesses? Be upfront and honest. Show that you are aware of your weaknesses and that you are working on them, but that you are focusing on your strengths. Don't be arrogant, but also don't break yourself down. Just be honest and real. Okay, so I would, for instance, say, I am honest, self motivated, and a hardworking person. I have a positive attitude towards my career and my life, but sometimes I can be a procrastinator when I feel overwhelmed, and I tend to be very impatient. Okay. Then we have commonly asked question number 4. What are your salary requirements? Okay. So, guys, don't tell me I don't have one. I'm not looking to lowball you. If you're being ridiculous, I will tell you you're being ridiculous. But you have bills to pay. You have expenses. I need to know from the get-go, are we wasting each other's time? Okay, there's a room for negotiation depending on your experience and your qualifications and all of that. Okay, so always say what your expectations are, and then you can say something like, doing market research on it, this remuneration is in accordance with my skills and experience, as well as your company norms, and it will fulfill my economical needs. Okay. Commonly asked question number 5 is, what are your career goals? So here, go short term and long term. And then, why should I hire you and why do you want to work for us? Okay. So why should I hire you? Share your knowledge. Okay. Share your experience. Tell them what makes you different. Okay. And for the why do you want to work for the company? Tell me, what do you like about us? Where do you see yourself going? Okay. And then do you have any questions for me? Guys, please, please, please ask questions. Okay, please ask questions. That is very important. Ask things like job timing, location, travel opportunities, overtime, allowances, transport facilities, leave policies. One of the good questions that I've recently got was, tell me about the last 3 people that left your employment and why. Okay, that's also a good question. So get creative, Google, do some research. Okay, what are good questions to interview a potential employer? Okay. And now we're going to quickly have a 2-minute look at if you are hired. So when you do get the job, be on time, dress appropriately, have a plan for retaining information, like write it down, record it on your phone, take photos, have a plan. Spend time with colleagues, getting to know them, ask questions. Don't say yes if you should be saying no. If somebody gives you training and they ask, do you understand? Then say, yes, I understand, or no, I do not understand. Nancy, I will get back to your question. I just want to make sure everybody gets all of the information. I will still be here a little bit after 12 for more questions. Okay. Use the first 2 weeks to invest in your future. Okay. Absorb all of the information around you. Participate and make a strong impression. And be self-aware. We come back to share your expertise, but don't be arrogant. And make yourself memorable. Start building your relationships. Okay. If you do not get the job, ask for constructive feedback if they don't offer it freely. See it as a learning opportunity and stay motivated. If they do give you feedback, apply the feedback and ask if you should or could apply again in future. Remain respectful. Actively work towards increasing your employability. Go on to LinkedIn. There are so many free webinars that you can attend on LinkedIn on various topics. thank the recruiter for their time and inform them if you would like to remain shortlisted for future opportunities. Chin up and never give up. Okay, so now we've got some time, or I will address some of the questions, and I'm just going to leave this on. For further questions and feedback, you can email either me or Nicole at the email addresses on the screen now. Okay, so let's quickly look at some questions. Okay, so we did the new CV, languages we did. Is a picture necessary on a CV? It's always advisable, but a professional picture, not a picture from you in what's the nightclub now? Vibe nightclub with your friends, like a semi-professional picture, and smile. Okay. So yes, I do always advise to put a picture on your CV. It gives us a bit of a face to put to the name, and it just makes it a little bit more personal. Where can one put a driver's license? So that will be with your supporting documents. Okay. Then we have the crawl, examples of CV layouts. I'll see if I can show you one now. Outline the jobs, how many pages. Thank you, Axel. Okay, so what if most of the people you worked with is no longer working for the respective company? Can you give their cell phone number? If you have asked them, if you have confirmed it with them, then yes, you are welcome to give their cell phone number. But please first check with them. They probably don't want out of the blue phone call referring to a previous job they had if they're not expecting it. What is the best font to use? We covered Arial 12 single space is always like a safe bet. Do the attached documents have a particular order? And then Nancy also asked about the order of the supporting documents. Okay, so it's basically the general rule of thumb when you are submitting documents. It will be like in order that it is listed on your CV. So obviously, like your ID number will be listed as part of your personal information. So your ID will be first. Then you will probably say you have a driver's license. So then you put your driver's license. Then you have like your jobs that you've done, and maybe you have reference letters. So then you will put the reference letters. Then we get to your qualifications, and then you will put your qualifications in the order that they are listed on the CV. So it's basically in that order. Does that answer your questions, Memory and Nancy? Then Yulita asked, if you have to send an application via email, is there a specific email structure when sending a CV? No, there's no specific email structure. But what I would suggest is you do a proper greeting, dear Luzon, or dear Miss Pretorius, or something like that. And then I'm further our conversation or our communication or whatever. Please find attached my CV and supporting documents as requested. Please let me know if you need anything else from me. Have a great day. Kind regards. Just make it professional, but still personal and not, I almost want to say not too stiff and uptight, but also do not tell me will do thanks or sure. I literally get the responses where the reply, I've typed like a whole email for them and they respond sure. Not hi, not bye, not leave me alone, not just sure. So I would just say a formal email. Okay, let's see. Do recruiters really go research our personal social media profiles? Personally, I do not. I might go and look at your LinkedIn because that is a professional network, but I personally do not go and look at your Facebook or Instagram or any of that. And that's just me personally, have great respect for your virtual privacy. Okay. Those of you that want or need to go, you are welcome to. I think most of the session has ended. I want to keep recording because I think there are quite good questions coming out. So if you want to stay, please also feel free to stay. I will be here for a little bit. I usually leave quite some time after the CV session for questions and answers. Okay. Charlene, Luzanne, I would like to know the last job where I resigned from. Ask me back to help them out when they need me for 4 months to sometimes 6 months. How do I add this on my CV? So you can add that as contract work. So you put it there like for the 4 months, and then you can just say it was contract based, and that's it. Okay. Marina asks, how do you make yourself employable if you like to change your career? If you want a company to give you a chance in a field you have not worked in before, for example, coming from retail and wanting to break into the financial sector. Okay, so this is a good question. So the first thing that I would suggest, Marina, is that you start getting yourself equipped. Okay, so obviously, you cannot expect to come from retail and then walk into the position of an accountant or a professional bookkeeper. So you'll have to start, I almost want to say like you have to start at the bottom again and work your way up. But some of the things that you can do to make yourself employable, just to get your foot into the door, is, for instance, you can invest in doing an Excel short course, or I know on Harvard Business School or Business Review, there's some places where you can do like accounting for non-accountants. So you can start doing short courses. You can maybe slot in with a corporate training provider to say, if you do have a group on Namibian income tax or so on, please can I join there? I will like pay for myself or whatever, but they can then check. We've had that scenario where a corporate trainer will ask us if we can include one more person in our group, but then we don't pay for that person, but they still kind of get the group discount, if that makes sense. So that would be one way, is I would say start getting the courses and some knowledge of that profession that you can start putting onto your CV. Okay. Axel, I will take two. Thank you for taking time. You are so welcome, Axel. You are very welcome. I'm glad that I could help. If I apply for a position, or not help, but add some value to your day and your position. If I apply for a position and I am not shortlisted, am I allowed to follow up or not, just to inquire? Yes. So usually advertisements would say only shortlisted candidates will be contacted. So as long as you remain respectful. I, for instance, had a situation where I only contact shortlisted candidates, and somebody phoned me on a public holiday. And this was like in the beginning of last year, like those May holidays. And it was no, it wasn't. It was on a Sunday morning. I'm lying. The Monday was a public holiday again. And as I was on the phone with the person, I was like, yeah, I'm sorry you didn't make the shortlist. And the guy literally went like, well, what am I supposed to do now? You could have let me know. And I was literally, guys, I struggled so hard to remember that I'm an adult and a professional in that moment. And I had to work so hard to remain respectful. And I was just completely taken aback by this. And this person has applied again, and immediately I'm like, no, I do not even consider this person. So I think a good rule would be, or a good oh, my English is becoming depleted now. I think a good guideline would be wait for the 2 weeks after the applications have closed, so after the application deadline, and then you can send a follow-up. By that time, they should be able to tell you whether or not you were shortlisted. For instance, what happened with us last year is we had a lot of applications come in November and December. And then the line manager went on to study leave for her final board exam. And after that, our offices closed. So we only attended to a lot of those CVs and applications in January. So some people did follow up, and then I simply apologized. I was like, I'm really sorry. All of this happened. So we are retaking the process now. If you do not hear from us by next week, Tuesday, please consider your application to be unsuccessful. Okay, so that's also definitely you can follow up, but don't be harassing them. Does the color CV matters? Axel, I do think it does a little bit, especially if it is a color CV, if it's a black and white CV or just like a plain written, like a normal CV, I don't think it matters. But if there are pictures and it was originally in color, I think the best guidance is to keep it that way. It just translates better. Okay, you are welcome, Yulida. You are welcome, Tanya. Address the cover letter to the hiring manager or the manager of human capital. So Nancy, I would say you address the cover letter to the person that you are sending it to. So what you could do, for instance, and this is where we come back to the CV, where we say, or the research, like do your research. It's as easy as phoning, let's say if you want to apply to BDO, it's as easy as phoning the reception and say, hi, I want to apply for a position at BDO. Who should I speak to? I just want their name because I want to address them on my cover letter. And then our receptionist will tell you, so it's Luzanne Pretorius. Okay, so I think that's like just showing that extra bit of I went that little bit further. But if you cannot find out who the person is, then I would say dear hiring manager will be fine. Okay. Alkan, who must I put as reference? You do not put the references if you don't have work experience. You can get like a statement from your school or a reference from a school teacher or lecturer at a university if you have just left school or university. If you do not have work experience, how can you write your CV? You will have your qualifications, and then you are literally starting out your journey. So you will also say that in your cover letter. Okay, so it looks exactly the same. It just doesn't have the work section, but everything else remains the same. Thank you, Hilma. You are welcome. You are welcome, Marina. Axel, what information can be included mostly in the cover letter? So I think like a cover letter for me is just an overview of what is to come. So if I were to write my cover letter, let's say I'm writing my cover letter to Nicole, and I'm now applying for a position at BDO, I would say, dear Nicole, I trust you are well. I am hereby applying for the position advertised HR or human resources recruitment. I am convinced that my experience and my skills and my passion aligns with your firm values and what I have seen. I am South African national in Namibia on domicile. My husband is a Namibian. So I would just explain that. I would say like, so I have a degree, my honors degree. I have so many years, like I have experience. These are my skills. This is why I want to join your firm. So it doesn't have to be a whole page. It's basically just like one, maximum 2 paragraphs. But also if you Google and you go to images, there are excellent formats or excellent templates and examples of cover letters. Okay. Any other questions? You are very welcome, Jackie. You are welcome, Rosha. Axel, I am on LinkedIn, Luzanne Pretorius. You are welcome to go and connect with me on there, and then we can even chat a little bit further. Okay, so this is actually a good question, Lena. How about traineeship positions? How do we approach those when applying? For instance, the accountant trainee positions, in most cases, they only ask for qualifications. You are welcome, Charlene. You're welcome, Lloyd. Okay, so Lena, the biggest thing to focus on when you are applying for the trainee accountant positions is, do you meet the minimum requirements? So I know at the moment, our minimum requirement for a CA trainee or an audit trainee accountant is that you must have an accredited degree and be CTA ready. So you must either be registered for CTA already, or you must be able or eligible to register for CTA. But then the focus would be accredited degree, because I know some postgrad universities take students onto the CTA with an unaccredited degree, right? Which then means you don't meet the minimum requirements. So the whole thing would look exactly the same. The only difference would be that you don't have the job experience. It's the same as one of the previous questions that I addressed. You don't have the job experience, so you will just list your qualifications, your skills, and all of that. Obviously, with your qualifications, you didn't just study 24/7. Hopefully, you were part of a committee here or tutoring there, or, playing netball or volleyball or whatever, like just some community involvement or university involvement. So then you will also list that as part of your interests, achievements, etc. If you did volunteer work as a fresher from varsity, yes, you can definitely put that on. You can actually add that to your cover letter, especially if it was like charity volunteer work. I think that's a really nice thing to put into your cover letter. And then under your interests and hobbies, you can say, like, one of my interests or hobbies is volunteer work. And then that will match your cover letter. Yilma, can I please contact you on your email or LinkedIn? You are welcome to contact me on the luzana@bdo.com.na email, but please do note that my time is extremely limited. So I might not always be able to get back to you like immediately, because these kind of things I then do in my own time. Okay. Where should I include short trainings, workshop certifications in my CV? You can actually make a separate section for them. If you have quite a few that you want to include, then you can just say like short courses attended, Excel, caseware, this or that, and then you just add the certificates as well with your supporting documents. You are welcome, Yilma. You are welcome, Benazir. Have a good day. I'm going to stop the recording now. You are welcome, Lena.